Hi, it's Dr. Lori, the PhD Antiques Appraiser, and I'm back with another list of lies and myths. Which is it? Is it a lie? Is it a myth? What's true? What's not true? And, I want to hear about the things that you've heard too. So put those in the comments. It's been a long, long time that I've been doing this and seeing a lot of the stuff that people are trying to sort of information they're trying to push on you that isn't always accurate. So, lie or myth? Estate sales have better stuff at them for sale than yard sales. Let me tell you about estate sales and yard sales. The only difference between an estate sale and a yard sale, well, there's two differences. One of them has to do with whether or not it happens inside the house or outside of the house. And the other thing is the owner's not around anymore at an estate sale to make change. At the yard sale, they're around to make change. Somebody's dead, somebody's not dead. That's basically what you see. This is the thing about estate sales and yard sales. Think of it this way. Oh, come to my yard. Usually it's more casual. Oh, come over to my estate. Seems a little bit better, right? So you expect that the stuff is going to be better too. So, in fact, oftentimes estate sales have just the same type of stuff that you would see at a yard sale. So, yard sales have been going on for centuries and centuries, and so have estate sales. The idea of an estate sale or a yard sale, again, and this particular myth that estate sales are always better, I have seen fantastic pieces in years and years of going to estate sales and going to yard sales and proving to you and showing you the real bargains that people have had. Years. In the early 2000s, I would go to, of course, yard sales. And for my television segments, I would go to yard sales. And I tell the yard sale host, geez, that's a real diamond ring that you're selling for $10? I had one woman who argued with me. The yard sale host actually argued with me saying that it wasn't real when it was. So I'm telling you, there is still, even to this day, and I show it to you on my Real Bargains, lots of valuable stuff to be had at yard sales and estate sales. But estate sales do not always have better wares for sale than yard sales. That's a myth. This next myth on my list: prints are not valuable. People will say, oh, it's just a print. I've heard that statement so many times in so many environments. Oh, it's just a print. Don't bother with it. It's just a print. I've taught you a lot about prints, and I've taught you which prints are valuable on the videos. And I've taught you, of course, in my newsletter too, that you can subscribe to on my website, which, of course, pieces are valuable. Here's an example. Picasso's The Frugal Repast is a very, very famous print, and it's worth several hundreds of thousands of dollars. You think Rembrandts aren't valuable? They're worth much money too. So again, prints can be valuable. And some prints of artists whose names you may not recognize are also quite valuable. People will go, really? Even posters can be valuable. Prints, of course, reproduced, right? Paper pieces from an original plate or an original lithographic stone are mass produced, but they can be valuable even if you just have one copy of a famous print. So prints can be valuable. When someone says prints are not valuable, you know that they're telling you a lie. Artists' bios posted online are always accurate. Is this a lie? Is this a myth? True? Artists' bios posted online are always accurate. Let me tell you this story, and this happened to me. So online, I wrote a biography online of an artist named Walter Baum. Walter Baum, very well known Pennsylvania impressionist, and I wrote a bio on it. And a art dealership gallery that runs a commercial gallery trying to promote their works by Walter Baum writes a little, note on their website saying, oh, we agree with Dr. Lori that Walter Baum was a good artist and he had a wonderful following and this and that. And she should know because she was close personal friends with Walter Baum. Well, here's the problem with this. Walter Baum was long dead before I was even born. So we couldn't be good friends because he was dead. Now, this is a problem with accuracy on an artist's bio because they're saying on their page that we're friends when in fact our lifespans didn't even cross over each other. That's one problem. The other problem I've seen with this, personal experiences, I speak from personal experience, on one of the very well-known art biography sites that you can go in and you can basically try to find information about a particular famous artist. I wrote a book on an abstract expressionist sculptor named Seymour Lipton, and that particular art website had someone else, the person who wrote the foreword to my book, they gave that person credit for writing my entire book. So they didn't even get the author correct, no less the information about the artist's biography. So you really have to know your sources when you're looking for specific information about artists and about anything art, antique, or collectible online. You need to know your source. It's pretty bad when a very long-standing and well-established website gets the author's name wrong. That's pretty bad. This next myth or lie, right, is Depression glass was made during the Depression era only. What do you think? Lie or myth? Depression glass was made during the Depression era only, or the early 1930s. Well, you'll be surprised to learn that Depression glass actually is made all the way into the late 1950s. There are some companies that continue to make their Depression glass patterns into the 1950s, long after the actual Depression glass era had been over. So Depression glass, in fact, that colored glass, sometimes it has, of course, an embossed pattern on it, but of colors like green and blue and pink and yellow. Depression glass, very popular, of course, in the 1930s, but actually it's made all the way until the late 1950s by some manufacturers. So that's a myth too. Another myth or lie, quilts with stains are never valuable. If you have a quilt and it's stained, it's never valuable. Now let me tell you, this quilter people, collectors, quilter societies, all of these people have talked about quilts a long, long time. I have written and contributed to books on quilting for a long time. Quilts, in fact, that have stains or other types of markings actually are quite valuable. People will say, well, it has a stain, that's a problem. One of the most common kinds of stains on quilts are blood stains. Oftentimes they're from horses. People are surprised by that. But oftentimes the blood stains on quilts actually come from horses, because quilts were oftentimes used on coaches, which would be, of course, drawn by horses, horse-drawn carriages and coaches. So you'll see that sometimes. They are difficult to get those stains out. So this statement, quilts with stains are never valuable, is obviously a myth. This next myth on my list, clock repair people need your key to your clock in order to do the repairs. This is a big myth, and people don't know it. People don't realize that these other elements that go along with your antiques have a lot of value. Particularly, one of the most valuable ones is the key to your clock. So it's always a good idea to keep the key to your clock at your home in a safe place where you know where it is, and don't give it even to the clock repair people. They have other keys that they could use to get your clocks working if your clock is not working well, and while, of course, a clock repair person is working on your clock. Would it be easier for them? Maybe, but you don't want to have the problem of you didn't get the key back, they lost the key, and some unscrupulous clock repair people might even take your antique key because they can be valuable, because they, of course, are very difficult to replace. So it's a good idea for you to keep your clock, your key to your clock at home with you, even if you have someone wanting to repair it. That's a good idea. A lot of times, of course, they can do the repair otherwise. I oftentimes say they could clean your clock, so you want to make sure that you don't give up the key because it's valuable. That's a myth that they have to have the key to do the repair. They could use another key and other ways to actually do the repair without your key. Next on the list of lies and myths, starving artists are hungry. What does that mean? You've all heard about the starving artist sale. You know the sale where, at the local hotel, they're going to have original oil paintings done by artists. Well, they are original oil paintings. They're done by artists, but in fact, they're done in a factory or assembly line manner, where one artist paints a tree, one artist paints the background, one artist signs a name, and oftentimes the name that's signed is actually a name that has a Western feel to it. They're oftentimes factories in parts of Asia, parts of Southeast Asia, and they're basically art factories. And those starving artists, and of course the people who are marketing for those starving artists, are doing very well in terms of moving this art into the mainstream and making money off them. So if you think that they're hungry and they're not doing well, starving artist paintings have been around a long, long time, and a lot of people will pay much more for them than what they're really worth. So you want them when they're sold through the of course, marketing of those hotels. And, it usually happens in January, at the hotels. Oh, come to the local inn. We're having a starving artist sale. They're, low prices for real original artwork. Well, again, they're doing pretty well. I'm Dr. Lori. That's Lies and Myths. I'll see you next time.